Tropical Storm Sam is intensifying at a rather quick and robust pace. We have the latest advisory in from the National Hurricane Center. This is the cone. Okay, alright, here's the public advisory. We'll get to the cone in a second. As of 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the center of Tropical Storm Sam was located near latitude 11.7 degrees, 11.1 degrees north, longitude 39.7 degrees west. Sam is moving towards the west around 16 miles per hour, and a general west to west-northwest motion is expected to continue over the next several days with a gradual slowdown in forward motion. We'll get to that point in a second. That's very important. Maximum sustained winds have increased to nearly 60 miles per hour with higher gusts. Rapid intensification is forecast during the next several days. That is huge right there. That is breaking news right here. Rapid intensification is forecast during the next several days. Sam is forecast to become a hurricane by tomorrow morning and could become a major hurricane by Saturday. The NHC cone confirms this right here. I'm going to show this to you. This is the cone that they just came out with on the National Hurricane Center. As you can see, those tropical storm force winds have extended about quite a bit. Now they're 60 miles from the center. They were, I believe, 45 at the last advisory, and the satellite imagery can back this up. As you can see, there it is. It really started ramping up in intensity. Now it's starting to build its core, and if I'm going to pause this real quick, you can see this right here. There is a spot of minus 70s right here in the northern side of the core right here. That's bad news, especially if this continues to develop, considering that there is now a possibility this could wrap around the whole system. Let's hope it doesn't happen, but it appears that it might be starting to do that. Let's just hope that fizzles out after a little bit, and that way it'll slow its intensification. But if it starts to start wrapping around the entire western side of it, that's not a good sign. We'll play this for you one more time. It's really bubbled up on the northern side. You can see it's rotating a little bit, but yeah, that's a pretty ominous look right there. So yeah, this is the cone, expected to become a hurricane. This is at 2 p.m. Friday. This will be at 80 miles per hour at that time. And then it's expected to slow down during the weekend. Slow down considerably, actually. That's actually not a good sign. Good sign, considering the fact that if it slows down like this, it'll have more time over that warm water and more time over that conducive environment, which in turn gives it more time for the system to strengthen. Now the cone has it moving more towards turning east of the Leeward Islands, which is good for now, but this goes 5 days out, and even if you're not in the cone, you could still see some impacts, especially with the large swells, a lot of rip currents. Yeah, even if this doesn't hit the Leeward Islands, which I do not expect it to do. We'll get to that in a second. These are the models now 7 days out. The models have it moving north of the Leeward Islands, although some of the models are split, some having it moving a little closer to the northern parts of it, whereas others have it continue that turn more towards the northwest, which let's hope that happens, because we do not want this affecting land as a major hurricane. So yeah, this is the latest tracks. General agreement for the next few days, although the COTI has it split a little bit, so we'll get to that in a second. For the 5 days, general agreement. So, yeah, the CEMI has it moving more towards the northwest sooner, whereas the others, they just delay a little bit and wait. So, yeah, this is a pretty major change, actually. Rapid intensification's forecast. The NHC has this going up to a 125 mile per hour Category 3 hurricane. Well, considering how quickly this is organizing, considering how conducive the environment is, and considering what this slowdown, I think keep in mind, this is my personal opinion. This is just my personal opinion. I have a disclaimer on this video for a reason. But my personal opinion is basically that I think genuinely that could be a little bit of a conservative estimate in my opinion. Am I saying it's going to be a Category 4 hurricane? Am I saying it's going to be anything stronger than 125 miles an hour? No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that I think the NHC's estimate seems a little bit conservative considering what's going on. So we'll get now that I'm done with that, we're going to get to the intensity of this. So this is the intensity. The majority of these models agree with the NHC at Cat 3 strength right here. Some models have it becoming a hurricane 12 hours out. Here's something quite interesting. They had it as a 60-mile-per-hour tropical tip. It's a 60-mile-per-hour storm 3 hours ago. When I checked it 3 hours ago, so that's pretty big. And now all the models agree this is going to be a hurricane, at least a hurricane. The vast majority of them agree it's going to be at least a Cat 2. Majority of them agree it's going to be at least a Cat 3. Now, there are a couple of models that have it going up to Category 4 strength, but that all depends on the environment. It all depends on how quickly this thing continues to organize, which it is still doing very quickly. And it also depends on, just how conducive the environment is. And the environment is actually pretty conducive for development, as seen here. You can see that core tightening up, and this whole cloud cover right here. I'm going to refresh this, see if we can get the latest frame on it. Not quite. So, yeah, this is a pretty big development. For the NHC, okay, that was the wrong thing. For the NHC to now put in their advisory, rapid intensification is forecast during the next several days. That's pretty incredible. That means they're taking the storm very seriously. It means they understand that its potential, and they understand that this could be a very powerful storm. And even if it doesn't hit the Leeward Islands, which it shouldn't at this time, all the modeling is saying it shouldn't. I'm just saying that right now. For any of you in the Leeward Islands, this hurricane is at the current time not forecasted to make landfall in anywhere the Leeward Islands, whether it's Barbados, whether it's Barbuda, whether it's St. Martin, whether it's Dominica. At this time, it is not forecast to make landfall anywhere near anywhere near the Leeward Islands. It is not forecast to make anywhere near landfall near the Virgin Islands. That is at the current time. I just want to make that clear. But what is potentially going to happen is that this thing is going to rapidly strengthen into a major hurricane. And if you're in those islands, you're probably going to see a bunch of rip currents. You're probably going to see a lot of swells, because even hundreds of miles out, hurricanes can generate huge swells and huge rip currents. We saw that with Hurricane Gonzalo. I believe there was a hurricane back in 2019 that was a strong Cat 4 in the eastern Atlantic that caused a lot of swells. It was a huge hurricane. It caused swells all the way up towards the United States coast. That's how far these swells can go. But anyway, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. This thing is organizing. This thing is quickly strengthening. Rapid intensification is in the forecast. Okay, those minus 80s are gone, which, hold on, I'm going to check. This is just one frame. Yeah, I'm going to, okay. Alright, I'm taking a quick look at this. I apologize for the lack of commentary. Yeah, this part of the core right here is expanding at this time. You can see from this frame to this frame that those minus 60s and those minus upper 60s are starting to expand out a bit. That's not a good sign. I'll be keeping an eye on it. Now, before we go, I have a few key takeaways for those of you who just want me to keep it simple. First key takeaway. Now a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm with higher gusts. It could be stronger than that, considering what we're seeing in the satellite imagery. It could be. I'm not saying it is, but it could be. But yeah, tropical storm force winds are now 60 miles from the center. That's up from 45 miles. Pressure has dropped to 1,000 millibars. That's down from 1,003. So that indicates a strengthening system. Takeaway 2. This thing is forecast to rapidly intensify into a major hurricane, at least a Cat 3 according to the National Hurricane Center. I mean, the National Hurricane Center has this going up to 125 miles per hour. So we'll have to just wait and see. I think that's a bit of a conservative estimate, but we'll just have to wait and see. Takeaway number 3: the models right here are in pretty much agreement that this is not going to make landfall at the Leeward Islands. Although if it does continue, if these models continue to shift a little more towards the west, there could be some more impacts for the northern Leeward Islands. Leeward Islands. 4th key takeaway: this system is expected to become a hurricane by every model. The vast majority of models agree it's going to be at least a Cat 2. The majority of them agree it's going to be at least a Cat 3. There are a couple of models that have it going up to Cat 4, but again, it depends on how quickly this continues to organize, how quickly this continues to strengthen, and how conducive the environment is. And the final key takeaway: there is a core, part of the core right here that is developing minus 70 cloud tops, with some minus 80s being reported in here. Although that has leveled off, it may start up again. So this is indicative of a strengthening system right here, especially in the northern part of it. I'll be keeping a very close eye on that, so be sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more updates.